One thing that I've always critiqued about the military is that some leaders, if you're able to run well or you're able to perform well on like your physical fitness test, people just assume that you're great, like whether you're a bad leader or not. So I never really liked that stigma, but at the same time, I also like the fact that, people that are physically fit, I feel like you can assume a few things about them. Great morning, great evening, great afternoon. My name is Demetrius Pearson, aka Coach Michi, aka Michi the Shooter, and this is the Counterattack. Man, y'all listen, and don't take this lightly. We have a very special guest today. We done rolled the red carpet completely out. We had to talk with his agent to make sure he'll be able to dedicate a little bit of time to us. So, you know what I'm saying? Let me give him the intro that's due. So, sitting beside me, we have a dedicated father, dedicated husband, a Marine Corps veteran, a recent college grad. Congratulations on that. A software engineer, an accomplished runner, and also a great friend, Mr. Obi Carnathan.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's up, D?
How you doing today?
I'm good, man. I'm amazing.
Yeah, man. I was just telling DJ, we was kind of outside about 24 hours ago. So how you feeling after that?
Man, honestly, I feel good, man. I'm ready to get right back to it because you know what I've been going through for the past 30 days, so I want to keep that momentum pushing, but I feel amazing coming off that run, man. Real good.
I feel that. Well, hey, man, listen, while I have Obi here, we go way back, so this is just not a stranger on camera, and I would be remiss if I get a platform and I didn't get this man his flowers, so I want to give you a quick snippet about how me and Obi connected with each other and, who he is to me. So, I met Obi, I think, back in about 2019 or so.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Through a mutual friend, Dre. And if everything goes right, y'all will get to meet Dre. Man, shout out to Dre, for real. Real solid person. So for Dre to even bring anybody around me with the type of person he is, I know they had to be solid. And at the time, all three of us were working out together. That's just kind of how we spent our time. So it went from me, Dre, and Obi working out every day. And then at some point in time, Dre kind of disappeared from the picture. But me and Obi was still there, and we were just working out. And I'm looking at him, I'm like, man, this guy got the military background. He thinks a lot like me. He works a lot like me. And, man, it's been history ever since. So, this has been one of my most solid people. I don't know if O knows, but, going back to me, I'm a husband of about 4 years now. And I'm also a fairly new father. My first child, he'll be 2 pretty soon. Obi and his wife have been married for almost a decade now. He has 3 beautiful kids, man, and I absolutely look up to him as a husband and a father. I listen to the morals that he stands on. He brags about his wife and his family all the time. And look, Carrie, if you see this, I ain't just up here capping, you know what I'm saying? And when you see this, look, go cook my boy a steak dinner or something.
Right.
But look, he keep the family name in his mouth, man, and then even somebody that's a worthy adversary, like even though we're great friends, a lot of our friendship is built and based on competition. We drive each other, iron sharpens iron, and he's been a rock for me in that sense. So, hey, I appreciate everything, bro.
Nah, man, I appreciate you, man. It's humble to hear you speak like that because the feelings is mutual, absolutely. But I brag about y'all all the time to my wife, so you hear me talk about my wife all the time to you, but I go home and talk about you and DJ all the time to my wife, so feelings mutual, man.
I appreciate that. So, as you can see, I don't know, maybe y'all can hear him. Hold him up. You see this man look like an Olympian right here, so we got a little hardware on today. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, hold him up. Let us see it. Yeah, we got a little hardware on today. So the last episode, me and DJ, we kind of got into the topic of running and how running transfers over to different areas of life. And I wanted Obi to bring out all his medals just so y'all can see that we ain't talking to no rookie today. Like, this man is deeply embedded in running. He's been doing this for years. And you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I know it's kind of heavy. And look, and obviously he's very accomplished. I got a handful. I'm kind of new to the game. So, I just wanted to sit up here and kind of pick his mind. So, going back, and maybe it started in your Marine Corps days or maybe beforehand, what got you into running in the first place? Like, what was your reason? And, what prompted you to be like, you know what, I think I want to take it to a different level and compete? Because if anybody knows anything about the military, you're going to run whether you want to or not. Yep. They give us physical fitness tests, and your paycheck depends on you being able to run a certain distance in a certain amount of time. So a lot of people do it just to check the box, but obviously Obi has pushed the envelope on it. So what brought that along?
Well, you kind of hit on it. So in the military, your physical capabilities, that's one way you're measured in terms of how you're measured for promotion boards, how you're reviewed, and how you're respected amongst your peers. So I already had everything else under control when it comes to my job. I knew that well. When it comes to the knowledge, the basic military knowledge, knew that well. And when it comes to the physical aspect, we have a pull-up exercise, and we also do crunches for our PT test. Both of those got them in the bag, easy, done deal. So when it came to the run, that was the area where I realized that a lot of people don't have good scores in running for some reason. So I said, if I can find out how to improve that, I feel like that'll put me above average in terms of my peers. So when it's time for me to be looked at for a promotion board, that'll be the difference maker for me. That along with, some of my educational achievements as far as doing online courses for my studies at that rank, because you have different studies for each rank. But yeah, so that was the difference maker. From there, once I realized that if I take care of my running, I can kind of get above average. It was just making a commitment to it, man, because it was hard. I've never been a runner as a child. Been fairly athletic all my life, but just running in general, long distance, I had never had a desire to do it. But I knew that I didn't want to be average among my peers in the military, so I had to make a decision to start running.
Okay, I like that. And going back to just talking about running being used as a measuring stick. Now, I will say that one thing that I've always critiqued about the military is that some leaders, if you're able to run well or you're able to perform well on like your physical fitness test, people just assume that you're great, like whether you're a bad leader or not. So I never really liked that stigma, but at the same time, I also like the fact that, people that are physically fit, I feel like you can assume a few things about them, they're disciplined, they care about how they look. So talk about, because you were a sergeant in the Marine Corps, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So talk about, how running helped you to be a better leader to your Marines while you were in.
All right. So like you said, there is a stigma in the Marine Corps where people look at your physical capabilities and they assume you got it all figured out.
Yep.
They assume you're a stellar Marine all around just because you're 300 PFT, as we like to call it. And, that can't be farthest from the truth. So running for me was the last thing to put the icing on the cake. For a lot of people, it's the first thing that they use to kind of showcase who they are as a leader. But with that being the icing on the cake for me, when it came to me leading my Marines in my shop, I knew that a lot of my Marines had physical issues. So in order for me to get them to the point where they could extend their belief and figure out what they could do better for themselves, because, keeping weight standards in the Marine Corps, it's pretty tough for some people.
Right.
Some people have different bodily issues, health issues that that might be kind of hard to get past. So the way I set the example for them was just showing them that, hey, I have some issues as well, whether physical or mental, but I can get out here and run. And I kind of got to the point where in order for them to reach another level, I had to reach an even greater level for them to follow and for them to chase. So I guess that kind of answers your question. I don't know if I jumped around a bit, but that's probably how that goes.
Okay, yeah, no, that made plenty of sense. So, going back to all the hardware on your neck, man, listen, I don't know if y'all can see it. This man probably got about 20 medals around your neck. So are there any medals that you have on right now that, because I talked about with DJ and I also talked about with you that every race that we run has a different story. So between the start line and the finish line, the mindset can be different. You may overcome some hurdles. You may even learn something new about yourself before you finish a race. So out of all the medals that you have, are there any medals that are tied to, a story that's significant for you or that's just like super meaningful?
I got a few actually.
Okay, go for it. Yeah.
I would say most of them come from when I first started running. Mm-hmm. So we're talking about like 2015, 2016. Because although I joined the Marine Corps in 2012, I started like that, I would say, that consistent running early on in my career. But as far as like chasing these medals or doing races, I think 2014, 2015 is when I started that. So one of my most memorable runs has to be probably a 10K I did, the Remembrance 10K that I did in remembrance of one of my great friends, Navarro, who tragically passed away in a car accident while I was in the Marine Corps. And it just so happened that a run was coming up a short time after his funeral and everything had passed. And, when I went out there to do the run, I treated it as just an average run, and I realized, yo, this is a remembrance run. So I said, who can I run this in honor of? Who can I put on my back? Who can I get to give me that extra push to, run a faster time or break a PR or whatever. So Chris Navarro was the guy I chose. And when I tell you that, during that run, I remember it was an older guy. Me and him had kind of broke off from the crowd, because that's usually how it goes when you're trying to compete. Because not everybody's there to compete. Some people just want to complete it, which is cool. But there was an older guy in front of me, probably about 50, 60 years old. And I said, man, I can't let this guy beat me. And I could hear Navarro, man, just in my head, like, come on, bro. Like, you got it. You Nate, as they like to call him in the Marine Corps. And I ended up smoking the old dude, man. I can't really put too much props on that because I had years on him. But, yeah, it was a fun race, man. I think I had a good PR. And I also got not only a finisher medal, but I think I could place second for my age group in that race.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope. Okay, man. Well, yeah. So, moving forward, because what year did you get out of the Marine Corps?
2016.
Okay, so 2016, what was that experience like getting out? Because now, you're not under the constant pressure of, well, in order to maintain your position, you have to perform this way physically, or you have to stay within these height and weight standards. So what motivated you to keep the ball rolling even after you got out of the Marine Corps?
All right, so it's funny because I talk to my wife about this all the time. The environment, man, when you lose that for some people, a lot changes for you, because the environment was a motivator for me. Like, it was motivating knowing that I have these people looking to me as their leader on a daily basis. So I had to be the standard, or I had to exceed the standards. So when it came to the Marine Corps, and, I talked to you about the PFT and stuff like that, we have our minimum standards. I used to tell my Marines all the time, like, who cares about the minimum standards? Like, we want to know what the maximum standards are, and then we going to raise that bar. But anyway, when I got out, I had that I did not have that anymore. So when it came to me finding something to motivate me, the environment wasn't there. So I had to create it, or I had to, I would say not only create it, but I had to make that environment up in my head. So it just came to me looking at my household. Like, my wife is the person who I want to motivate now. And, it should be like that all the time regardless. But since I was absent from the service, I had to look at my wife. I had to look at my kids. I had to look at my role as a father. So when it comes to realizing that you have a wife whom you want to be here for as long as possible, you have kids whom you want to be here for as long as possible, one of the best ways to do that is by taking care of your cardiovascular health. How do you take care of your cardiovascular health? You can run. You can work on your endurance, because that's going to improve your heart health regardless. So I would say those are the things that kind of help me keep pushing. But I would be remiss to say that, or to not say that I didn't have periods where I was in a state of maybe depression or anxiety, where I didn't want to run. I wasn't motivated to run. But I got back to that by realizing that, I don't have those Marines in front of me anymore. But I have eyeballs looking at me every single day in my household that I got to take care of and set the example for.
Right.
Yeah.
And see, going back to saying that, truly a great family man. So, I saw a quote on Instagram, and I may have actually seen it yesterday. So it said that, people say that they're willing to die for their children, and that's noble. Yeah. But are you willing to get healthy for your children? And I think a lot of people don't think about that. So as black men, and I think me and DJ have talked about this before, you already come into this world, 2 strikes in, you're predisposed to, heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, like you name it. So even without, doing anything health-wise, you're already at risk for a lot of these things. So taking care of yourself is literally like the best way that you can serve other people, and especially when it comes to your family. And I'm along the same lines. I have a little boy right now, super energetic. I want to be able to play with him now. I want to be able to play with him later. But more importantly, I want to be present for him. Yeah, and, I want to be able to control the things that I can't control, and my health is one of them. And, I was sharing with y'all that earlier last year, I actually got diagnosed with high blood pressure, which was unheard of for me because, me, I'm working out every day. I'm pretty sensible about what I eat, but y'all slapping high blood pressure on me.
And then it's crazy when you told me that, it was so surprising, because I'm like, I know what this man does on a daily basis. And we have these assumptions that, okay, I'm not vulnerable to these things because of what I'm doing on a daily basis. But like you said, it's sometimes it's just generational stuff that we still having to deal with. We still having to break away from those curses. So it was crazy to hear that from you, though.
Yeah, and it's funny dealing with it because when I was diagnosed, you know, I hit my mama up and I was like, you know, they told me I got high blood pressure. She was like, oh yeah, I've been dealing with it since I was in my 20s, and your uncle been dealing with it since he was in his 30s. And I'm like, okay, so y'all just not telling me this, right? But it's crazy the dynamic of it, because even now I've lost weight since I've gotten it. I've cleaned up the way I've eaten since I've been diagnosed with it. And my numbers are pretty average, honestly. Like, they don't budge one way or the other, so I have to keep it there. But at the point that I stop doing those things, it may actually get worse. So, you know, you just really have to be able to maintain this, really just to be here longer for your family and your loved ones.
When I got into school in 2020, it was tough, man, trying to figure out how to structure my schedule around being studious again, because you got to think about it. I graduated high school in 2011. While I was in the Marine Corps, I did take a college course here and there, but you're talking about one course a semester, so real low maintenance. So going into school full-time 2020, I did have to drop off a few things. The running did fall off a bit. The exercise did fall off a bit. But the crazy thing is the mentality that was used to run and exercise on a consistent basis. I just put that same mentality into the schoolwork. So, you know, I graduated cum laude, 31 years of age, non-traditional student, and I did that with a wife and 2, then 3 kids.
Come on, man.
Now I have 3 kids.
Come on.